Hi, everyone. It's Trainer Mike with TXA, the TradeX Academy, and I'm here to check in with you on Sunday at what's going on with Bitcoin, with some of the other movers in crypto, and the markets at large. If you want to find out more, if you want to learn how we perform this type of analysis, check out the links in the description of this video below and join us in the official TXA Discord server. That is where we interact with the public community. We have our own private community, and we do a lot of analysis of all things crypto. So let's dive right in. And before we zoom into what Bitcoin's doing right now, let's just take a moment to appreciate the vastness of this chart, going all the way back to 2011 here on Bitstamp. Every success, every failure that every investor, trader, innovator, Bitcoin and crypto enthusiast has had in the past decade is represented by the price action on this chart. And you have to recognize that what's on this chart is more than just a recording of price. It is absolute successful gains of significant sums of money and total destructive, debilitating, depressing losses, all wrapped up into one view that we are looking at a single time here on this logarithmic function of this price action. So without further ado, we've appreciated it enough. Let's dive into where we are in the market today. We're going to look at a daily chart first. Now, those of you that have been with TXA for a while, you know we've been analyzing this entire downtrend, and all the way back in January, right around in this area, when we got our first dip and start of a pullback, we recognized this started to look like a bit of a bear flag here. And a bear flag, you can measure the drop into the flag, and you can expect most of the time reasonably that you will exit with the same distance out of that flag pattern. This is a continuation pattern, and we were headed down, so we continued down. Now, when we first identified this flag, that gave us this bear flag target here. So we were expecting to hit this with a fairly high probability. We also measured the retracement Fibonacci's from the move up, going off of this all-time high, and we analyzed that we had a good possibility of this long-term trend target. Once we established this downtrend, we were able to measure we were likely to hit this area. Now, we had one deeper target, this deep bear market target based on a 618 retracement of the Fibonacci retracement series, but we never quite made it there. And we've talked about in the past that the 50 fib is a high probability. The 618 is not a guarantee, but is also a high probability. Now, we've never made it down there, and we may never make it down there again. There are still those of us, myself included, that believe it's still on the table. But for right now, that's not where we're looking in the immediate future. In just the past couple of weeks, Bitcoin managed to break out of the downtrend and bounce off the upper boundary of this downtrend with significant force enough to hit the long-term log trend line. That's this green line here. And you can see not only did we hit and slam into it, but just in the past week, we have now broken out up and over it, and we are holding it again for the first time in quite a while. Now, that's as of the moment of the making of this video. We could see red candles show up in the days ahead and push us back down underneath it. And if that occurs, a high probability area to return to is right down here in the 23 to 24,000 area. So in terms of looking for lows in the week or weeks ahead, that's where we would be looking to come back to, possibly hit with a wick, some kind of response, and we would like to see support hold there if Bitcoin is indeed resuming the uptrend, which many people are starting to question and starting to look at. If we can stay up above this trend line, we have a strong possibility of resuming a bullish type of market. Now, we may hit some significant resistance in this 36, 37K area and see some kind of a pullback and a bit of stress on the side of any longs that came late. But suffice it to say that we look to be building into a return of a bull trend on Bitcoin. We haven't established it yet. We could still dip and make some kind of an inverted head and shoulders pattern in the big picture. There's a lot of time left. So when you are looking at this in terms of where are we going in the next week, know that we don't have to go far. In the next week, we could see sideways action where we don't quite get up or down the area we're locked into right now, which is about between 29,500 and about 31,000. If we break the upper or lower boundaries of that area, and I'll just give you a little rectangle here to see what I'm talking about. If we break out above or below this area, then we have some high probability areas that we're looking at as targets. So we've got this 36, 37K area up above, and we've got this 23, 24K area below. Those are the highest probabilities for Bitcoin in the coming week ahead, assuming that we break out of this sideways area we're starting to establish. So Bitcoin doesn't have anything super scary on the horizon here, but this deep bear market target looms below. We haven't fully established an uptrend. We have not developed 3 or more touches of a potential upward trend line. So we are still in unknown territory for Bitcoin. And anybody who has gone full bullish or anybody who is still stuck full bearish should be questioned in terms of whether or not they are just stuck on their biases and they're not willing to admit that we are in territory that is uncertain at this time. You should not be making a clear call either direction where we are now, based on where we are now. It's not really feasible because there are too many pieces of evidence to support up or down in the area we're in. It is unclear, and you should consider the risk of that. There are risks to be had to the up and to the downside of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin takes off to the upside, there's a possibility that a lot of alt charts will sell off their Bitcoin sides to maintain their USD value. And if you don't know what that means, again, join us in Discord using the links below. But if Bitcoin dips lower, any alts that don't see their Bitcoin side go up while Bitcoin is dropping will also come down with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in control of the tide at the moment, without a lot of individualistic alt activity. Now, that being said, there are a few charts, and they are in our Discord server as well, especially in the member section under TI's top charts, that have made some pretty strong breakout moves, and we've been watching those for the past few weeks. Bitcoin has been giving a lot of alt charts chance to make moves, but not all of them are. And Bitcoin is certainly not bullish enough yet to push everything up with it like we've seen before in the past. Now, if I take a moment here to look at our main market charts. We've looked at Bitcoin. What is Ethereum doing? Ethereum is pretty much following Bitcoin, at least in the last few weeks. Now you can notice the general structural differences here. Look at Ethereum coming off the all-time high. It dipped into a low and just now has finally made a slightly higher high than it made before in the low. Bitcoin, however, fully pushed past that swing, that initial swing up off the bottom bounce. So Bitcoin is looking more bullish than Ethereum at this point in terms of higher highs and higher lows. Now, Ethereum starts to look like one giant triangle, and that would be if you pulled a top here, relatively speaking, and it is peeking up out of the top of it. There isn't a lot of volume in this move on Ethereum, at least not on Coinbase. So it looks rather weak in terms of a breakout. Now, one way you can compare this action between Bitcoin and Ethereum is on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. You can see that in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, Ethereum has gained strength relative to Bitcoin. Why is that? Because about 5 days ago, Bitcoin moved first and Bitcoin has settled now, whereas Ethereum has been moving up while Bitcoin has been relatively settled. So just in the past week, you can see Ethereum bouncing off this 618 retracement, a very healthy type of move. And you can see it's now settling underneath the 382 in relation to Bitcoin. So Ethereum may be due for a bit of a pullback back to this 50, or Bitcoin may be due for a bounce that forces it back down there either way. Now, the DXY is important. This is the dollar index because it tends to have a bit of an inverse relationship with Bitcoin. So when I look at this chart over here, I'm looking to see, is the USD index here, this DXY, trending down or up? So far, we've got a big picture. We've topped here, and we've now taken a bit of an ABC downwards. And you can see here, we're stuck on the 50. If the DXY starts to break down and lose strength here, this could drive stocks up. It could also drive Bitcoin up in that inverse relationship. If, however, the DXY bounces here again and starts to push back up, it could drive Bitcoin down. You can see here from January until March, the DXY was headed up. And if you look at Bitcoin from January to March, Bitcoin was started to go up with it, but had its heaviest pullback there going into March. So really, as the DXY was headed straight up, Bitcoin started to kind of turn and do a bit of a curve here. Now, Bitcoin went from the end of December to January up. And if you come over here and look at the DXY, here's December going into January down. So there's that inverse relationship. And this bounce here on the DXY was kind of that dip down and pull back up on Bitcoin. So you can see a bit of that inverse. The DXY really needs to break to the downside if we're going to give Bitcoin a chance to run. And you can see the same kind of effect over here on the S&P. The S&P kind of did a bounce to the downside, while the DXY did a bounce to the upside. So there is your inverse relationship. That's about all we have time for today. So we will check in again next week, see what Bitcoin's doing, see what Ethereum's doing, and hopefully have some exciting movements to analyze. Thank you very much for watching today. I'm Trainer Mike with TXA, the TradeX Academy. We will check it again next Sunday. Until then, drop into our Discord server by checking out the links in the description below, and we will be happy to chat with you about what happens in the week ahead, whether we were right, whether we were wrong, and what we can do to get better next time. Catch you later.